Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the last deep dive of Open Web Foundry 7. Today, we have a really special guest because he's part of the Arweave core team. It's Sebastian, our COO. And today, he's going to be telling us a little bit about pitching to investors, which will be very important as we're coming up on demo day on June 30th. So we haven't sent out all the invitations yet. So if you guys still need one, make sure to contact me at jesse@arweave.org and save the date. Thursday, June 30th, 4:30 to 6:30 Central European time, or 10:30 to 12:30 Eastern time for demo day. And we're looking forward to having everybody there. And we have a lot of cool projects that we want to show off from this current cohort. So without further ado, Sebastian, please come to the stage and you can tell us a little bit more.
Thanks, Jesse. Hey, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. Yeah, I'm excited to present this way in which you can hopefully, structure your pitch either for demo day or for investors accordingly. In the current market conditions, it's going to be extra important to maximize the impact of whatever it is that you're presenting, and also making sure that you're communicating accurately and succinctly what the main points of your idea are. There's a bunch of people out there right now trying to fundraise and not as much capital to go around as 6 months ago or so. So let's get started with this. All right, so we're going to be talking about how to pitch to pros, and we're going to cover two types of pitches that you're going to be using to successfully communicate your project to potential investors. The first one is demo day pitches, and the second one is investor pitches. So they're both pitches. They may sound similar, but they really are not. They're quite different, and they vary in some key aspects. So the differences that they have lie in the goals that they pursue, the audience that they are going to reach, the style that you need to employ in order to communicate properly, the preparation that goes with this, and the materials that you require to have at hand to share with the audience that you're going to be talking to. So a demo day pitch, the goal is to get an investor meeting. You're talking mainly to community plus the investors. The type of presentation that you have, it's a stage presentation, right? So what I'm doing right now, which requires you to practice your pitch several times and have some accompanying slides. It's basically the same thing that I'm doing right now. So that's the demo day pitch. Usually you also have a demo, thus the name demo day, obviously, where you can basically show either in a recorded way or live way what your solution or your application is actually doing. An investor pitch is pretty much different. It has the goal of getting the investors to see your project as an investment case. And so you're talking not to many people, you're talking to a specific investment firm at a time. And the style of your pitch is a lot more conversational. You don't start just by saying all right, well, I'll kick off my pitch and here we go. And this conversational style requires you to prepare in a different way. So it requires you to do a little bit of research on who is going to be your interlocutor, who are you going to be talking to, who's the investor sitting across the screen, and also you need to prepare a really good demo ahead of time. So let's start with the demo day pitch, because that's coming up really closely. So when you're presenting at an Open Web Foundry demo day, you really have two main goals. The first goal is you want to get the community engaged. After all, they're going to be potentially your first users, they're going to be your contributors, also potentially employees that can help you build your project out. And the second type, the second goal that you have is to entice the investors in the audience enough that they will approach you after the pitch when you're in the mingle area. You have your own dedicated table/booth, and they will want to schedule a meeting with you. So to learn more about your project and to ask you all those questions that came up during the presentation. But that's basically it. Those are the goals. So it's sometimes the presenters put a lot of pressure on themselves by thinking that during demo day, that's when you're going to close a deal, and that investors are basically just going to whip out the checkbook and write your check right then and there. Like that almost never happens. And you're not going to get a term sheet pressed into your hands after demo day. So really, what really matters here for the investors is getting the first sense, getting sort of like piquing their interest, so that you have a follow-up conversation with them. So the two audiences that you're going to be talking to, the Arweave community and the potential investors, they have overlapping interests, but they still differ a little bit, right? So the Arweave community will be very focused on how you're using Arweave stack for your project and how it furthers the ecosystem. Investors will care, on the other hand, a little bit more about how likely it is that your project will, yield profits for them. So the style is also a little bit different, right? And it's something that you need to really know. And Open Web Foundry Demo Day, the style is stage presentation, as we already mentioned. And this means that you have to keep your pitch to like 3 to 5 minutes, including the demo itself. And you have to make sure that the structure explains some basic things, right? So how does your solution work? Like, what does it do? What is your project about? What is the name? How does it work? Then you have to show a demo, and then you have to have some sort of closing statement that sort of asks something of the audience that you have there, right? So sign up for the waiting list, or go check this out right now, or like the first 100 people to do this will get X, something like that. Like that's a typical sort of like basic presentation, stage presentation structure. The preparation that you do for demo day pitch in the Open Web Foundry it's pretty intense. It's the pitch practice period in which we are actually like right now. And this sort of like preparation is like boot camp style preparation. Is designed to hone your pitch and allow you to become very, very good at the delivery of the pitch that you've prepared, and making sure that you're hitting all the key points that you want to communicate, and that you have like a really nice flow, and that you highlight the things that you want to highlight, leave a couple of things out, so that purposefully, so that investors might approach you later and you already can sort of like foresee what they're going to be asking you and prepare those answers in advance. And when it comes to materials that you have to have at hand for a demo day, well, the Open Web Foundry is, again, helping you with this. First thing is to have a good pitch script, and we help you with that, right? So it's a very intense process. That's basically what kickstarts the entire process, making sure that you have the structure, the flow, hitting the points that you want to hit. Once that's all done, then we start like honing the language a little bit. But that's by and large, I would say, probably like 60% of the entire, 60 to 70% of the entire preparation for demo day is just nailing that script. Then after that, well, we have to work on the slides, right? And so at the Open Web Foundry, we provide you with professional graphic design support to make some beautiful slides, so that even if you don't have a designer in your team, that you don't have to get like bogged down in all to like creating all the design elements and visualizing your pitch script. We can help you with that. And then the part that is, well, really up to you is you need to make sure that you have a kick-ass, like a really banger demo. And you can if you're very confident that things are going to be working well, you can have a live demo. That's always like super cool to see. And you can say, hey, it's actually deployed in Arweave, it's really working, and this is all live. You can go and check it out afterwards. That's sort of like the top tier. But you can also just say, hey, there's a recording of the demo. Just make sure that it works, and then you can just like present that. In either case, that's also part of the preparation. That's also scripted. That's also something that you really want to storyboard to make sure that you're hitting all the right points. All right. Well, that was the demo day pitch in a nutshell. So let's imagine you just presented a demo day. It went well. You were talking with some investors at the tables in the mingle area afterwards. What comes next? Let's say went well, and let's imagine that you're talking to, I think I saw Garrett from Permanent Ventures here in the audience. Let's say Garrett is really interested in your project. What do you do next? Well, when you meet up with Garrett, you have to have something prepared for the investor pitch. Let's check what the goals are, again, like starting with that same structure. So the goals of an investor pitch are for you to get the investors interested in your project enough for them to schedule a follow-up call. You will most likely not close the deal in your first investor call. So, again, don't put all that pressure on yourself that it has to, obviously the call has to go well, but it's not like going well means closing the deal right then and there. So in this first call, investors really want to learn about you, your team, who you are. After all, this is early stage, and what that means is that investors are mainly investing in the founders. The idea will change, and things around it will also change. So they care about like you, your team, your vision, and they want to make sure that it's compatible with what they're interested in backing, right? So different investors have different preferences. These can be stage or so is it a network? Is it a protocol? Is it an end user facing application? They all have like different characteristics, and they may or may not be complementary to what the portfolio makeup is for an investor. So these are the things that they're exploring in that call, right? And really the goal is to get a follow-up call so that you can keep things moving. The audience, well, in this case, differently to demo day, it's very specific. It's a specific VC or a specific investor. It's not a wide audience, so you won't be needing like a specific pitch deck, and you not need to be like very different as well. Normally, in the first chat to a VC or to an investor, you'll be talking to an analyst whose job is basically to find like viable investments, and you can think of them as like super useful allies that will get your message up the chain, right? So they're going to be reporting to a partner maybe, and telling them, hey, this is a pretty cool team, had a good call. I think that you should hop on a call, and that's the sort of next call that I was referring to before. So that's sort of like the audience. Don't underestimate someone simply because they don't have a fancy title. Like oftentimes they're going to be like really, really important for you. The style of the pitch that you're giving is also very different. Given that your audience is not so like a wide public, but a specific VC and probably a specific analyst, the style will be a lot more conversational. So you can kick things off by asking them like, hey, where are you calling in? Like you have to diffuse the awkwardness of meeting someone for the first time probably, right? So it's like, where are you calling in from? Make sure to introduce yourself, make sure to introduce your team, make sure to talk about state very clearly what it is that you do. Again, they have a bunch of calls every day, and then start talking about your project without any slides. It's you don't need to go like, okay, well, can we pitch you now? It's kind of awkward, right? Or you're in the middle of this conversation, so rather just start pitching it conversationally. Well, my project does X and Y. We started because of this and that. It follows similar structure to the demo day pitch, but it's really conversational. It's not aided by the slides that you have. Here, it's more about like you and your project directly. And super important to understand is the fact that something is conversational does not mean that it's unstructured. You have to guide the conversation. And here are some pointers: like talk about your team, your project, then talk about maybe your go-to-market strategy, like tokenomics, the mechanism design that you have implemented, and also be very, be ready to prepare some to ask them some questions about themselves. So some questions might be like, cool, so what is your average ticket size? Is one of those like traditional ones. In the previous market cycle, the answer was we go up and down as much as possible. But they still have certain preferences. Maybe you can also ask them you can do a little bit of research about their portfolio companies, and you can ask them like how they actually help their portfolio companies. Some investors like to be like very hands-on with technical support. Others like to help you out and go to market. Others will just straight up tell you like, hey, we can connect you to other investors and maybe to some potential partners. But that said, you sort of like understand that it's mainly the capital, which is also completely fine. But that's something that you wanna know. It's not only them interviewing you; it should also be you interviewing them. Again, you should do some research here on the person that you're going to be talking to, right? So, since when are they in crypto? Maybe ask them also like, have they invested in other Open Web Foundry projects? What I just covered before. And for this presentation, for this sort of interaction that you'll have with the investor, you should also make sure that you have like a super nice demo, right? That's definitely going to come up in the first part of the conversation. You're going to start out by talking about like what it is that you do, and then you will want to show it right away. So like, hey, let me show you something. Let me share my screen, and then I go straight into the demo, and that's going to like kickstart some questions from their side. But how are you doing this? And like, what are you using? Are you using this, or are you using this option, right? And that's going to like also guide a little bit of the conversation. So that's the material that you need to prepare, like a really good demo. Okay, well, that's basically. I know that's been sort of like a lot to take in a short amount of time. It's a lot, but it's definitely not definitive. There's many other things that you can be doing, but these are the like sort of like high level, the things that you want to make sure that you have, both for the demo day pitch and for an investor pitch. It really should help you guide your attention to select some like key aspects of the differences in the pitches. Well, that's basically it for me. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'll see you in the Mingo area. Thanks.
Thank you, Seb. Yeah, guys, we're going to start the Mingle session now, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody over at Demo Day. So see you guys down there.